government.
The member for Fowler.
Thank you, Speaker, and thank you, Member for Bennelong. I agree that our electorates are one of the most diverse in the country. I think mine is the most. I have to claim that. We last week, welcomed 500 new Australian citizens to Fairfield City Council citizenship ceremony. So I share with you the importance of this appropriation bill. And I think the government just recently presented to us the crossbench the migration and show it as the summary of what the migration review has revealed about our visa system, and it's convoluted, complex, and has a network of categories and visas that really looks like a web that a spider web. I think it leaves the spider web for dead. So while I applaud the Minister for Home Affairs for taking on the challenge to review our migration process, I also encourage her to include in this review a look at what happens after migrants or refugees have settled. As I have previously said before, my community has first-hand experience of the impact of migration and refugee settlement. We are a multicultural melting pot, Speaker, with our country built on the shoulders of migrants and refugees, dating back as far as post-World War II, with the influx of Germans and Italian migrants. And recently we settled 12,000 Syrian refugees in the Fairfield Council city alone, more than the rest of the state of New South Wales. However, we have not received the funding for basic infrastructure and services to match the settlement responsibilities our city took on. Our roads, public transport and hospital aren't funded to support this increased population pressure and needs. Our schools are bursting at the seams with limited resources, human and capital. And now the cost of living and housing crisis, it's acutely felt by everyone. I ask the Minister, will the review also take into consideration housing and infrastructure needs to support newly arrived migrants as well as current residents? As part of the budget, I acknowledge the government will introduce an improved delivery model for the Adult Migrant English program from 1 January 2025 to allow migrants and citizens to improve the ability to speak the English language, which I have benefited as a former refugee myself. So I know the importance of learning the English language, as well as it helps gain employment and other settlement outcomes. I welcome the improved delivery model. However, there's no additional funding allocated in this budget. So how will the AMEP model be improved with no additional funding? How will it get rolled out across the 300 locations in Australia? And which electorates will be prioritised? When settling into a new country, migrants need as much support as possible for them to feel secured and part of the community. It is imperative that the government address these needs within the review. The budget also revealed that $75.8 million is to be allocated for improving visa processing over the course of 2 years. In the past decade, Australia has undeniably experienced an influx of visa application with skilled and humanitarian migrants. I'm sure I speak for many electorates officers when I say our staff and our officers feel the impact of the inefficiency and clogs within our current visa processing system. We are inundated with inquiries from our constituents about the delay in processing time, as the Department of Home Affairs is unable to keep up with the numbers of applications coming through. There's a human cost, as the delay in visa application process causes anxiety for people having to wait for an outcome. I had a constituent, for example, who applied for a humanitarian temporary protection visa and has been caught up in the processing delay for approximately 4 years. Migration is by far one of the most significant issues in my electorate of Fowler. Just having a look at the last year, nearly 30% of our constituent cases are to do with immigration, visas or passports, the biggest portion of our constituent work by a long shot. Over the weekend, I had the pleasure to join the Sabaean Mandaean community for their Remembrance Day. Many were lucky to be settled here in Australia after surviving trauma and atrocities of war in their homelands. But they have also spent years waiting for answers as to why some of their family, friends and community members are still living in limbo in Turkey. So I asked the Minister, what are the measures being implemented by the Department of Home Affairs to improve the efficiency of visa processing times? Can the Minister clarify which visa application streams will benefit from this additional funding? For example, will humanitarian visa applications be prioritised over skilled migrant visas? As it clears, when it comes to migration, many factors come into play. We need to ensure those who come into this lucky country have every chance to succeed in their new lives, whether they're coming as international students, skilled professionals or part of our humanitarian intake.